And in some good news for international travellers, Britain has decided to scrap its tough COVID-19 quarantine requirements for 47 countries, including India. People who are vaccinated with WHO-approved Covishield in India will now be able to travel to the UK from October 11th onwards and will not need to quarantine for 10 days anymore. This specific point had been a bitter bone of contention between the two countries, with India also retaliating by imposing same measures for UK travellers. Those fully vaccinated will now no longer be required to take a pre-departure test, nor the 8th-day test after their arrival, but just a test on day 2 of arrival. For those who are partially vaccinated or have gotten a vaccine not approved by the WHO, the earlier rules will remain. This includes compulsory pre-departure test, COVID-19 test on day 2 and day 8 of arrival, and self-isolation for 10 days. British High Commissioner to India Alex Ellis tweeted out these new rules and thanked the Indian government for their cooperation on the same.
From Monday the 11th of October, a traveller from India to the UK, double jabbed with Covishield or another vaccine recognised by the UK regulator, does not have to quarantine. So it'll be easier and cheaper to enter the UK. This is great news. We have been actually open for Indian travellers for months. We've been issuing thousands of visas to students, to business travellers, to tourists. And it's the product of excellent discussions with the Indian authorities. So let's now go further. Let's open up more flights between the two countries. Let's get British tourists able to come into India. They're desperate to do so. Let's facilitate business travellers who are trying to come into India with e-visas.
Now, Britain has scrapped COVID quarantine measures for 47 countries. Other countries include South Africa, Thailand. Only 7 countries remain in the red list, including Colombia, Ecuador, Panama and Venezuela. Transport Minister said that the requirement for the 2-day test will be replaced from the expensive RT-PCR test to a lateral flow test, making it more convenient for the travellers.
One of the great things now with people fully vaccinated from the UK is it's much easier to allow people to travel and also to accept 37 other countries whose vaccinations we will now be able to accept. We will still want to have that check-in of a lateral flow test, but of course if that turns out to be positive, people will be able to immediately take a PCR test.
The British tourism industry has essentially lost 2 full summers due to travel restrictions imposed to contain the spread of the virus. Budget airlines like Ryanair and EasyJet have said that the changing restrictions have delayed recovery in the sector, leaving the British airline industry lagging behind its European peers. And our diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibal has sent us this report. Listen in.
As they say, all is well that ends well. The UK has announced new travel rules for many countries, including India, under which the Indian travellers will now not have to go through a mandatory quarantine period if they're fully vaccinated. We know the tiff that happened between New Delhi and London over the previous rules by UK, under which the Indian travellers had to go through this mandatory quarantine period. And of course, there was no recognition of India's Covishield vaccine or the vaccine certificate as well. The rules came into effect later on 4th of October, and India was naturally, India had also imposed reciprocal action. There was since then conversations going on between the two sides, hoping that there will be a resolution. Finally, a resolution has come. This is, of course, a positive news for many Indian travellers going to UK. We know that UK has a lot of Indian diaspora, and that has been the living bridge between the two countries.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.